And we do want to get more now on where the IPO market is headed this year. For that, we check in with Scott Billeadeau, Director of Small and Mid-Cap Growth Strategy at Fifth Third Asset Management, joining us now from his firm in Minneapolis. Great to see you, Scott.
Great to be here.
So the U.S. stock market, as you know, of course, tough start to the new year. IPO suffered as well, but yep. People are more optimistic here, and we've got 800 million in IPOs set to debut this week. Are market conditions better now?
I think market conditions are okay, and also I think this is a somewhat of a buyer's market. So if the demand is there, if it's the right type of deal, deals can get done out there.
What do you mean by a buyer's market, and how that how that affects the IPO market?
Well, I think there is a lot of demand for companies to raise equity. There was a huge pipeline of venture capital back in the late 90s, early 2000, and many of those funds had 10-year time frames on them. So many of those funds need to provide liquidity back to their investors, and they need to get some of those companies out of their portfolios. So there's a huge backlog of potential deals. And again, if you remember back, even some in 07, but certainly 08 and 09 were a couple of the lowest IPO years on record. So there is a lot of demand to come to the market. And because of that, I think it's a buyer's market. We get to pick and choose, and I think you're seeing that, by some of these prices getting cut. If that's not the price the investor wants to pay, I think the bankers are much more willing to get the deal done. They got to listen to what the buyer wants.
Scott, are we seeing companies keep a watchful eye on the equity markets and sell shares and reduce debts? And as a follow-up, can investors even get a good IPO price in a declining market?
Oh, I think definitely investors can get a good deal. I mean, if you do look at equity issuance, again, the secondary market's been very active. A lot of companies have come to the market issuing shares, taking advantage of the equity market, but many of those are companies that are already public, tapping the equity market. On the IPO side, I think it's going to be a pick and choose market. I've been participating in the IPO market for many years, and you're going to look for those unique characteristics that make for a hot IPO. And given who the sellers are these days, many sellers now are private equity firms, and a company coming out of a private equity firm has different characteristics than a venture capital funded IPO. Might not be entrepreneurial, might not have the growth characteristics that normal IPO buyers look for.